Healthcare industry last year spent $1.4 million a day. Wall Street has 3,000 lobbyists. These lobbyists are not for reform. They jump on reform like an alligator on a poodle. You know, it's just quick. To devour reform. And they're representing raw corporate greed. We can look at it in terms of these Wall Street bankers. You'd think these guys could buy a clue, right? With that bonus money that they've got. But they don't. Grabbing those multi-million-dollar bonuses for themselves, bonuses generated by our bailout money. But wait, they cry. We are a generous group of people. We care about others. Yes, we're taking $5 million, $10 million, $20 million in bonuses for ourselves, but we do take some of our money and create foundations that can give to charities that will help the other little people in our country. For example, Goldman Sachs pointed out that they had set up $1 billion aside for new charities to help these low-income, these less fortunate people. We are philanthropic people. Well, let me tell you a quick story about what the gods think about charity. This is from Earl Long when he was governor of Louisiana many years ago. And Earl Long used to tell about a rich man who died and tried to get into heaven. You know, but as you and I know, you just don't walk into heaven. You appear at the pearly gates. And there's an angel out front that's going to review your life, and then St. Peter's going to decide whether you get to come in or not. So here comes this rich man. And the angel looks over his life and says, "My God, you never did no good for nobody, no way. What are you doing here?" And the rich man said, "Well, now, wait a minute, that's not entirely true." He said, 1925, there was a widow woman on the street, and she needed car fare home, and I gave her a nickel. And the angel said, "Well, so?" And the rich man said, "Well, 1935, I came across a beggar man, I put a nickel in his cup." And the angel said, "Well, this doesn't make up for a life of greed." And the rich man said, "Now, wait a minute, because I've got a consistent pattern of philanthropy. In 1945, I was coming out of my bank at Christmas time, and there was that Salvation Army kettle, and I put a nickel in there." And the angel turns back to St. Peter and says, "What in the world are we going to do with this man?" And St. Peter said, "Give him back his 15 cents and tell him to go to heaven." It's not charity that we're after. It is economic fairness, social justice, equal opportunity for all people. That's what we're after. We can't be a nation of button wearers, can we? We've got to be a little stouter than that. And that's the possibility that we have in this country with good efforts like represented right here in this room. Sarah mentioned my latest book, Swim Against the Current. Even a dead fish can go with the flow. I'm going to sign that out here in a minute. But what that book is about and what it tells are stories just like yours all across the country of ordinary folks who are defying the corporate order, who are going against the flow, who are really representing the plucky spirit that is America. Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." Well, that's what I find across America. More often than not, people are being themselves. They're not just following the corporate orders. They're mavericks and mucks who dare to buck the system and live their values in business, in politics, healthcare, in food, in banking, in all sorts of areas that you don't hear about in the establishment media. So we tell about 55, 60 stories of people who are out there doing this. Now some say, "Well, that's impossible. You can't break loose from the corporate tentacles. They have too much power, too much money." But as a friend of mine who's been a pioneer in the organic movement puts it, those who say it can't be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. That would be you. I'll give you one quick story out of that, because it relates to something that you care a whole lot about, and that's healthcare. A guy named Chris Johnson. He's in Austin, Texas, and he worked in one of these chain drugstore operation, big box thing. And he was doing well, climbing that corporate ladder. He was making 6 figures, and had a good future ahead of him in terms of the corporate order. But Chris said, it just made me sick to my stomach. And what made him sick? Something our nurse friends here can understand, our home health care people will understand. And he said that is that more and more people he found were coming in and presenting their prescription. He would fill it, bring it up, and they would turn around and leave without taking the pills because they could not afford the medicine that their doctor had prescribed. And he knew the level of gouging that was built into those pills. And so he broke loose and he established his own place called MedSavers. Again, a small place, a little drugstore. You can't buy a chainsaw in his drugstore, but you can buy pills. And he specializes in people who have no insurance at all. And he specializes in generic drugs. And he's able to sell a bottle of pills that would cost $59 at that chain store for $16 and make a profit. And he's able to establish a business that makes him proud. A business that actually serves the community. And the community likes him and he likes the community. So it makes his own life richer. And Chris says it's a matter of aligning your work with your values. And more people are doing this across America. Again, you don't hear much about it, and that's why we wrote this book, because we need for people like you who are doing it to recognize it's all across the country. We don't have to create a progressive movement, it's out there. It's not connected, and that's the good job you do. And that's the step we've got to take next, because one side of town doesn't know the other side of town. One issue group doesn't know the other issue group. We don't realize what it is that we have in common. As Jesse Jackson put it once, we might not all have come over on the same boat, but we're in the same boat now. That's a powerful political reality when you get down to it. And that's the hope that we have in this country of producing real change, is coming together. Again, it's up to us. I believe we can have the kind of country, the kind of culture, the kind of life that we want if we do something that is essentially American, and that is to be disobedient. And y'all are really good at that. We've got too many progressives, particularly our big national groups down in Washington, D.C., that don't want to be disobedient. And in fact, they've been too deferential to Obama and the Democrats in Congress. They have been too placid. They've been too quiet. So the powers that be are running roughshod over us. As a farmer told me not long ago, I don't mind losing when we lose, but I hate losing when we win. Well, that's only going to change if we make the change. So I'm urging you to continue to set your great example and to extend your organizational model to more groups here in Massachusetts, but also to state after state after state. Be bold, be strong, be brave, be in the face of power. I'll leave you with this. It's from Louis Grizzard, the late great Southern humorist. And Grizzard once explained something that we in the South have always known to be true, and that is there's a great big difference between being naked and being naked. Being naked means you have no clothes on. Being naked, that means you have no clothes on and you are up to something. That's our job. We got to be up to something. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Glad to be with you.